Today I'm going to show you 9 of the most disgusting animals on the planet. Number 9. This fish that looks like it got slammed by Thor's hammer Mjolnir is the flatfish. A fish that starts its life with a normal and symmetrical face, then decides for no good reason to switch it up completely and become ugly as shit, like your ex after leaving you. All to stop swimming the old-fashioned way in order to dabble weirdly on the seafloor for the rest of its life. Number 8. What the hell is this mess, you say? Well, I'll tell you, my guys. This animal that clearly does bench press every day at the gym is the Nacibactrachus sahedrensis. And because no one has time to say all that crap, we call it purple frog. This small muscular ball is an amphibian living in India, which spends almost all year hidden in the ground, knowing its ugliness can damage the eyesight of all other animals in the area just by being looked at by them. So purple frogs only come out during the monsoons for like 2 weeks to reproduce quickly, and then they go back to the deepest and nastiest parts of hell they came from. By the way, fellas, a bulk up animal that only shows itself for 2 weeks and then goes back to hide. Doesn't it sound like a wannabe bodybuilder that only shows its body 2 weeks in the summer for the ladies on the beach? Number 7. Man, this hellspawn coming out straight from the darkness is Satan's goat. The Damascus goat, which comes to us straight from Syria, and which, despite its failed appearance, actually won in 2008 the world's most beautiful breed of goat in a beauty contest in Saudi Arabia. So everyone, please note, no matter how terrible you look, there will always be someone somewhere on earth whose love for you will make them blind. Owner of this skull, which looks even more messed up than its face, the Damascus goat is nevertheless so cute when it is small. But once it's reached adulthood, sorry, but its very existence seems to be nothing but suffering. A bit like this other human error. Number 6. The blobfish. Well, I could spend another 30 seconds to slap the crap out of this representation of absolute ugliness, thus attracting the wrath of the animal rights defenders, but screw that. Let me to defend this little dude instead, because the blobfish doesn't look like that in its neighborhood. By that I mean that it is a fish normally living at a depth of 4,000 feet, where the water pressure is much higher than at the surface. But when you bring this poor guy up to the surface, that's simply like deflating a balloon. In reality, this is what a blobfish looks like. Sure, it's still ugly, but not as much. Number 5. Well, ain't this blue thing purty? Well, it can also send your beautiful ass to the grave. The blue sea slug, not to be confused with the blue eyes white dragon, is the top model of mollusks. This sea slug lives in all the warm sea waters of the world and only eats things bigger than itself, like the Portuguese man-o', which I talked about in my last video. It then sucks in the venom of the man-o'-war and uses it as its own by becoming venomous, so as to make your health insurance company sweat profusely, since touching it will send you to the hospital, if not 6 feet under. So don't be as dumb as those people who manipulate venomous creatures thinking they're pretty, otherwise natural selection will team up with karma and blow your face off. Number 4. This is a hagfish. Yummy. This is the damage of a bunch of hagfishes. Not so yummy. When a hagfish feels threatened, it releases a huge amount of mucus to the point that predators that bite it have no choice but to spit it out, as if it were an uncooked meat, because the mucus clogs their gills and basically strangles them. This brings us to the picture at the beginning, because when a car carrying hagfishes is hit by an idiot driver like you are, we get the most dangerous piece of road ever that gives the impression that a group of swingers had a little too much fun in the area. I hope this joke won't get me banned. Such an animal obviously doesn't have just one bullshit faculty, so hagfishes are necro-lovers and eat corpses by inserting themselves through the anus, eating everything from the inside for days and days and days.
Nice.
Number 3. This is not fake. It's called the tentacle butterfly, and this demon from the underworld lives in Japan, a country that loves everything with tentacles a little too much, as we all know it, but also in Australia, since the gateway to hell is located there, and in other places in Southeast Asia. Most of the time it looks like this, but when it's time to reproduce, these butterflies take out their horrible tentacle and produce pheromones to attract the opposite sex. A bit like in Japan, it attracts, anyway. Number 2. The tongue-eating louse is as terrifying as it looks when you look at these pictures. This disgusting small parasite will pass into the fish via its gills and then make its way to its mouth. There, the parasite behaves like a raging player on the bench and will sabotage the fish's tongue by cutting off its blood vessels until it disappears, before replacing it as the main tongue. As a good tenant, the parasite will help the food to go to the back of the fish's throat, and will then feed on the remains of what the fish eats, or will suck the blood of it if the fish doesn't eat enough, which actively makes the fish a slave. Either it brings food on the table, or it gets its blood sucked away. In short, if the parasite dies, the fish cannot swallow anymore and dies too. On the other hand though, if the fish dies, the parasite will pack up its stuff and find a new host to infest. So guys, next time you're at the beach, close your damn mouth. Number 1. And the most horrible for the end. At first, I thought it was the mother carrying her babies, and it already grossed me out, but f me, it's even worse than that. Normally, it's a simple beetle that looks pretty cool and minds its own business. But when it is only a larva that tries to make its way in life, it can have the misfortune to cross the road of this parasitoid Tetraticus that injects its own larvae inside, which will then grow and eat the poor beetle alive from the inside out. My god, that's too much. I'm out.